first off, it was definitely great to get back in Lambeau. I thought our fans showed out tonight. It was awesome. The energy, thought our guys really fed off that, and just can't say enough about how much we appreciate them being loud when we're on defense. You guys heard that? All right. And then you got to give credit to the Chicago Bears. And I think today was such a great lesson for everybody in this league, quite frankly, when you're just watching these games throughout the course of the day, just whether you're winning or losing, you have to be resilient. And I think you saw a lot of big-time comebacks. And the Bears hung right there till the end. And, luckily our defense buckled down when we needed to, and on that fourth down, and our offense was able to drive it pretty good and convert some points to make it a 3-possession game. So it was a hard-fought physical game. We know we're going to get that every time we play the Chicago Bears. It's a great rivalry, a great NFC North opponent, and I got a lot of respect for not only their players but their coaches on that side. And then lastly, just want to give a big shout out to Elton Jenkins showing up for us tonight. I really don't think if he's not in the lineup, we don't win that game. And just it transcends his level of play, what he's able to bring to us. I thought first night out, I thought he did a great job, and certainly there's some things that he's gonna want to clean up, like every guy, but just his mere presence out there allowed us to obviously have him at right tackle, move Royce into right guard, and I really think that was just a big-time difference for our offense.
Matt, was that about as well as you could have envisioned, getting 33 to Baltimore like you guys were talking about all week?
Yeah, I was kind of disappointed. What do you have, 18 touches, I think? I anticipated more, but no, I'll tell you what, Aaron Jones, man, he was absolutely electric. Every time I think he was going down, he'd somehow find a way and squirt his way through. And he's just a hell of a competitor, and he's a guy that just embodies everything that you want in a football player. The way he works, how selfless he is, how he cheers for his teammates, how he supports his teammates. They don't make many like this guy. He is one of a kind. We're lucky to have a guy like that. It's not a surprise to me that he was elected a captain. Just the way he treats everybody in this building, so respectful, just works his ass off. And, he's a hell of a player too. So, he's a guy that obviously we have to get involved each and every week. And he just does an outstanding job.
What's the right number of touches, percentage of snaps for him to get the most out of them, but to also have him healthy in December, January?
No, I hear you. That's always going to be the balancing act. And, I think that could vary week to week. Certainly we've got to, I always call him 1A and 1A. A.J. Dillon, he grinded out a lot of tough yardage tonight. Some of those plays weren't always blocked the best, but he was able to lower his pads and get positive yards, which is absolutely pivotal for our success. And, one thing we talked about as an offense is just staying and having positive plays and consistent plays to stay out of those third and longs. And unfortunately, we still had too many third and long situations, but I thought both those guys just ran really hard. I thought our offensive line did a pretty good job blocking in the run game, and then also, the receivers and tight ends did their job as well.
And I'm just following up on the selfless part about Aaron. A lot of running backs in this league, if they don't get the ball as many times as they want, might have reacted differently. Did you hear a peep from him all week? And if not, what does that say about him?
Yeah, never. I've never heard anything. I quite frankly, I don't know if I've ever heard a negative comment come out of his mouth. Not to say that I'm sure it happens. He's human, but around here, he is. We have a rule: no complaining, no excuses. Never heard that from him.
Well, just talk about the defense locking down after the first drive today.
Yeah, no. Obviously, the first drive was a bit frustrating, especially with kind of what transpired with our first offensive drive, we were moving the ball pretty well, and this is not an excuse. It's going to come off that way, but I promise you, it's not. We were having some serious headset issues where it kept cutting out, and we tried to switch it in the middle of a play, and it was kind of disaster. But needless to say, our defense, yeah, they hit. I think was that when they hit the flea flicker on us, and they were able to move the ball down the field and came away with 7. But I thought all in all, our defense regrouped, and I thought every time I looked out there, we were playing pretty physical. And you got to give the Bears a ton of credit. I mean, David Montgomery is a premier back in this league. His ability to break tackles and just how hard he runs is it's pretty impressive to watch. Don't want to see that, but you got to give him credit because he battled, and I thought their entire team battled for 4 quarters. But it was great. I thought we got pretty good pressure on Fields, and to give up 10 points in this league, that's pretty special. And I know that you can look at the stats. I don't have them in front of me, but certainly we don't want to give as many rushing yards as we did. But to hold the team to 70 some odd yards passing, I think that's pretty special.
What did you see on the goal line stand, and B, as a head coach, when you're watching the replays, what's that like for you? Because either you're winning by a touchdown, you got to come up with an answer, or you get the ball about the foot line and got to have a drive.
Yeah, no, it was tough because all I told Joe Barry was get a 2-point play ready to defend, because I couldn't tell. It was, I think whatever way the officials ruled it would have stood. And I think a lot of time those spot foul or those when you challenge a spot or whenever it gets reviewed, those are tough to overturn. But I thought it was pretty inconclusive. Again, whichever way it would have gone, it probably would have been upheld. But yeah, certainly we were racking our brain about what we wanted to run on offense during that long intermission, and we came up with a couple of the big play pass was one of the adjustments we made on the sideline. Our receivers did a great job communicating to Jason Vrabel. He relayed that to me, and we kind of made up a play with that option. And thankfully, our guys did a great job blocking, and we went out there and Aaron threw a great ball to Sammy, and he made the play.
Matt, how big is it when you can not only convert on a 2nd and 28, but then turn that drive into a touchdown, because it wasn't looking good there for a minute?
Yeah, no, I think you could argue that might have been the most pivotal play in the game. I think we threw the screen to Romeo, and our guys got out and did a great job blocking for him. And I mean, the guy's electric with the ball in his hands, and he's another guy that we got to continue to try to find ways to get him the football. He's a young player, but he is dynamic. His body movements are dynamic. He's got a great burst. He's a great kid. He's a pro's pro as a rookie, and that's rare to find. I think both him and Christian, they're one and the same in that regard.
Beyond getting the running backs involved a lot more today, what value was there in getting seemingly everyone involved in the passing game as well, from Sammy to Allen to Randall? You mentioned Romeo and Christian as well, catching the ball and seeing how to play.
Yeah, no, all those guys made big plays. Obviously, Cobby made the off-schedule play, converted a huge 3rd down and 8, which we ran a halfback we ran him a choice route from the backfield. And typically, we wouldn't even carry that in that D&D, but just trying to get into potentially a 4th and manageable, and he gets 9 yards on 3rd and 8. Ran a great route. Aaron gave him a great ball. We had awesome protection. But all those guys, you never quite know where it's going to go. Matter of fact, there's a lot of plays where Vrabel does such a great job of subbing those guys in and out. I don't even know who's going to be in the game necessarily, and that's definitely a far cry from what we've done in the past here in terms of featuring when you got a guy like Devontae. But all those guys, Sammy, Allen made a bunch of big-time plays, and some of the stuff that doesn't even show up on the stat sheet, just some of the blocks that they had that sprung explosive plays in our run game that were so pivotal. And, you know, we're lucky to have, again, that group. I can't say enough about that group. Just the maturity level, the willingness to do the dirty work for one another, to block for those backs. You know, it's so much more valuable than what they'll ever get credit for probably from you guys and what shows up on the stat sheet.
Hey Matt, what does it say that you can start talking about it after last Sunday's game? I got to get 33 and 28 to Baltimore. I got to get 33 and 28 to Baltimore. Everybody knows, including the Bears, that you're going to do that, and you were still able to be productive. And then on the flip side, what are you going to have to do as a coach for when teams say, okay, we're not going to let 28 and 33 beat us?
Yeah, I think it starts with, first of all, you know, those are two great players, and you're always trying to get your best players the ball. But it speaks to our staff and just the creativity that they come up with a game plan and how we want to feature these guys, you know, all the guys, Adam Stenovich, Vrabel, Buckus, Tom Clements, John Dunn, Ben Sermons, all of them. They all contribute. We're pretty collaborative in how we game plan, and I know, you know, just very fortunate to have these guys a part of this. And, you know, it speaks to everybody on the offense, and we have that all 11 mentality, and those guys take it to heart, and guys are just trusting one another. They're competing for one another, and it's fun to see when all that comes to fruition.
Matt, was there any kind of, I know you talked about having Luke Getzey on the other sideline this week already, but was there any sort of emphasis or focus on trying to do something different given his familiarity with that side of the ball?
Well, I think you're always trying to, you know, play off your tendencies, and that's why you have to do a good job self-scouting yourself, so you have an idea what the opposition is going to practice. But certainly it does create some challenges. You know, there's a lot of carryover in their offense in regards to our offense, and so the defense gets to see that on a daily basis. So I think you always got to kind of try to evolve and try to stay one step ahead of the game.
There's been some talk about Alan Lazard moving into the #1 receiver role, but today I think the second best celebration was him celebrating his block with throwing Aaron Jones for the touchdown. What's it say about a guy when he ascends to the #1 receiver role, it still has just as much fun as ever throwing on the blocks on the low points?
Yeah, I can't say enough great things about Alan Lazard. Just the mentality he brings to that room, to our football team. Again, another selfless guy, went out there and competes as hard as he does in the run game as he does in the pass game. And, you know, it just, that versatility makes him so valuable because he has a big physical presence. I think a lot of times that your specifically your offense will kind of take on the mentality of that receiver room and just their willingness to block for the backs or get dirty in the run game. And I think you see that with those young guys too. They take pride in it because they know that what the standard has been set by some of the older vets.
Matt, this is your 4th year in the league, and you still have yet to have back-to-back losses in the regular season. How has that been something you've been able to accomplish?
Well, I don't really think about it that way because we were kind of on a losing streak. It kind of felt dating back to last year. So it feels great to win again. It's hard in this league. But I think it speaks to our players, our coaches, just the mindset that we have here. And you can never, you got to ride the wave. Whether with your handling success is a big hurdle, just like handling failure. And you got to constantly learn and be resilient and just take it one game at a time and one day at a time. Just trying to perform to the best of your ability each and every day. And it's a credit to those guys in the locker room that really, truly buy into that mentality.
Matt, what did you think of how your quarterback played? And I know saying words like game manager are dirty words in the NFL. And obviously he's not that because of what he's done. But is it nice to not have him have to make, 25, 30 plays in a game and he kind of can just do a couple of big important things and you guys can still win.
Definitely not a game manager, because there's so much that we put on his shoulders in terms of him getting us into the right place. I mean, that takes a lot. You know, and then just some of the off-schedule plays he made today, you know, running around. I thought early on it felt like the rush was kind of getting to him a little bit. I mean, we didn't have great protection. And just to have that mental toughness, because that's not easy when you feel that barreling down on you and you get sacked a couple times. And every time he gets hit, I cringe. Just, hey, man, I just want him to get up. And but, yeah, he made a huge off-schedule play to Cobby, I think right before the half, I want to say. And he does so much for this football team, and just the way he leads our guys. And I thought he played outstanding.
Did he hold the ball on that third down run, or was that by design?
You'll never know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. But that was a hell of a play by him. I didn't think, quite frankly, I didn't think he was going to when I saw the safety on the line. And but it was a hell of a play.